Honored to participate in this tribute to Richard Chernick, who just last year was named by the Western Justice Center as a champion of justice. I was privileged to have him in my seminar on judicial administration in the early 70s. And we visited the courts, and they had to write a paper a week about, we went from the drunk tank up to the Supreme Court. Richard Chernick was one of those. He was so brilliant, but beyond being brilliant, he had this urge to improve the administration of justice. And so he edited my first casebook on judicial administration and the administration of justice. He was so outstanding that as I was dealing with the ADR Field, went to China 8 times. I took Richard one time. He presented a paper. He so impressed everybody that he ended up as on the advisory board of the Institute for Transnational Arbitration and a member of the arbitration panels of the Hong Kong International Arbitration Center and the one at Kuala Lumpur. He has received so many awards, but what really sticks in my mind is that he is committed to improving the administration of justice. And he was named, I mean, he received so many awards, ADR champion, the National Law Journal, Los Angeles Arbitration Lawyer of the Year, et cetera, et cetera. But he also is recognized for all the law schools in this area, being an adjunct professor at Pepperdine and at UCLA. And when I was dean at USC, there was some reticence of the faculty to move into the ADR field as to whether or not it was really law. Well, due to the energy and the commitment of Richard, there is an outstanding program in ADR at USC, including master's degrees and the like. And it's due to his commitment. And I think in my short time with you, I'd like to read a quote from Dean Croman. In 1993, was dean of the law school at Yale. And he wrote in his book, The Lost Lawyer, a good lawyer must be more than a skillful advocate, which of course Richard is brilliant and amazing in this area, should be more than a skillful advocate who uses his energy and learning to promote the private interests of his clients within a framework of public norms, whose soundness is taken for granted. He must be a public-spirited reformer who monitors this framework itself and leads others in campaigning for those repairs that are required to keep it responsive and fair. This describes the type of lawyer that Richard Chernick is. And he indeed is deserving of every honor that can be bestowed upon him. In my 25 years of teaching and 40 years on the bench, Richard is one of the top 3 lawyers I have ever known.
A tremendous honor to have an opportunity to speak on behalf of Rich Chernick, who is one of the finest people I know in the field of conflict resolution. And in law practice, for that matter. I first came to know of Rich more than 30 years ago when I was a young law professor working with an international committee looking at conflict resolution issues in the construction arena. And I remember the discussion around the table about this lawyer from Los Angeles and what a wonder he was. It was only some years later that I came to know Rich, particularly after we moved to the West Coast. And I have to say that having had the opportunity to observe Rich at close quarters and to work with Rich, and observe his work as an arbitrator, a mediator, a writer about arbitration and conflict resolution, and a mentor to many of us. I have to say, I don't know anybody quite like him. I think that he has pursued and attained a standard of excellence that is really the paradigm that we all shoot for. I know no one who I respect more fully, more totally than Rich, and I really do appreciate the opportunity to say a few words. Rich deserves every honor there is, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Congratulations, Rich, on your induction into the California ADR Hall of Fame as its first member. You know, I saw your recent article in California Litigation Magazine, in which you stated that you were present at the creation of the expansion of commercial arbitration way back in the 70s. But there was that was not the only time that you were present at a creation involving ADR. You're also present at the creation of the Revised Uniform Securities Act. The Revised Uniform Arbitration Act, which occurred back in the 1990s, through your association as a member of the Recusal Drafting Committee that created that act. I was there, and that was the first time we met, in fact. And I was impressed by your knowledge of ADR at that time. And I think that you made a significant assistance in the creation of that act, and it's too bad we don't have it in California. And you were also present at the creation of the College of Commercial Arbitrators, an organization of which I'm proud to be a fellow. That organization would not exist without your work. And I'm really grateful that you did that. The CCA is a major player in the field of commercial arbitration. And again, that's the result of your efforts. And you were also present at something else, though it was sort of a recreation, not a creation. And I'm referring to the American Arbitration Association's administration of commercial arbitration. During the period that you were an AAA arbitrator, thanks to your efforts, the administration of arbitration by the AAA improved substantially. And you were the person who was largely responsible for that. So again, I appreciate what you did there. And so it's just fitting that you are the first recipient or creation of the ADR Hall of Fame. And the award was richly deserved. I wish you the best. And I look forward to your continuation in the field of commercial arbitration. Thanks again, Rich.
Rich, you truly deserve to be the first ADR Hall of Fame honoree, not the least of which is because you have always been first and foremost in so many activities and developments in our profession. When alternative dispute resolution started to take hold in the late 1990s, you were one of the first to leave big law firm practice and become a full-time arbitrator with the American Arbitration Association, where you innovated a lot of best practices. And then later on to JAMS, where you established and built that organization's arbitration practice. When the dispute resolution section of the American Bar Association was first envisioned and formed, it was you, Rich, who was there to shape and guide it. And when the section needed a strong thought leader, they of course turned to you to become one of its first, if not the first chair of the section. When full-time practicing arbitrators were striving to establish best practices in the profession, it was you, Rich, who helped form the College of Commercial Arbitrators, the first peer nominating organization. And of course, you became its founding president. And when issues of the actual practice of arbitration have arisen, Rich, you are usually the first one to opine on difficult arbitration topics, authoring many articles, book chapters, textbooks, and again, offering your perspective easily, frequently, and based on your considerable knowledge and experience. And Rich, some time ago, when women and underrepresented individuals were not included in the ADR community, as the idea of diversity inclusion was not on the radar as it is today. You were one of the first to support us and encourage us to follow in your giant footsteps. Rich, I cannot imagine that ADR, particularly commercial arbitration, would have advanced as far as it had today without your significant contributions. I'm so pleased that you are the first to receive this ADR Hall of Fame award, which in our arbitrator lingo, I would call a just award. Congratulations.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Patty Glazer, and I'm here to articulate, I guess, a tribute to Richard Chernick, a person for whom I have a huge amount of respect. I consider Richard to be a true Renaissance man. Putting aside his academic achievements, putting aside that he clerked for the Chief Justice of the California Supreme Court, Donald Wright, putting aside that he was indeed prescient when it came to the value of ADR very early on and left a major law firm to become a founding partner of JAMS. All of that aside, he also plays golf and shoots in the 80s. He also loves modern dance. He also collects and has collected for years wine of incredible vintages. So all that aside, he does all of those things. And oh, by the way, he's a very, very generous guy, both with his family, his wife's family, and a variety of charities in or around Los Angeles and the United States. Richard could not be more deserving of this recognition. And it's actually nice to see one of the good guys recognized for the contributions he's made. So Richard, congratulations. Well deserved. Thank you.
I was delighted when I heard that the California Lawyers Association had decided to give its first Hall of Fame award to Richard Chernick. I mean, it was kind of like choosing Stephen Curry or LeBron James, but this guy has been a remarkable pioneer in the world of alternative dispute resolution. And Richard was always a darn good mediator, but he's like a player that plays both offense and defense, because he became one of the first practitioners who could arbitrate as well as he mediates. And so he kind of went could go both ways, offense and defense. And Richard then turned to developing the whole arbitration system for JAMS and the JAMS rules. And he became kind of the guru of arbitration. And that role was more important than a lot of people know, because what Richard did quietly and remarkably, in my opinion, was sort of meld three different phenomena: the whole movement toward mediation, the importance of having a choice of an adjudicatory process, arbitration, still as an alternative, and then how to meld that into the civil court system and ensure that there was sort of a seamless process there that worked for practitioners. And it's taken a while to develop rules, regulations, ethical standards, all those things. All I know is whenever I decided to arbitrate against the wishes of my staff, I would always turn to Richard for advice and counsel as to any kind of problem or anything that happened. So hats off to a guy who's maintained high ethical standards in both mediation and arbitration, been an innovator, kind of had a steady, determined role, and has earned the respect of the whole bar out there. You just don't hear a bad word about Richard Chernick. There may be people who disagree with his decisions, but you don't ever hear anything but this is a solid, ethical, outstanding practitioner. So we say, all of us who've been around during this, hats off to the California Lawyers Association for having the good judgment to select Richard for this high honor. And Richard, I salute you and wish you many, many more years of success in this practice.
I thank the California Lawyers Association for allowing me to speak for a few moments in tribute to the ADR Hall of Fame award recipient, Richard Chernick. Richard's been with JAMS for more than 20 years. He essentially created our arbitration practice, and it's grown from a small part of JAMS business to almost half of what we do. As the managing director of our arbitration practice, our neutrals and associates often turn to Richard for advice on how to handle difficult or unexpected issues. He's played important roles on our National Arbitration Committee and Regional Advisory Committee, and has been the principal author and contributor to our industry-leading arbitration rules and procedures. Richard's also a frequent speaker at JAMS Institute programs, where he shares his wisdom with fellow JAMS arbitrators. His leadership roles at JAMS have been much more than just overseeing our arbitration practice. He was on the JAMS Board of Directors for several years, including 3 years as board chair. While his contributions to the success of the JAMS organization have been innumerable, it's perhaps his contributions outside of JAMS that have made him such a great recipient of this ADR Hall of Fame award. He's been a frequent author of books and articles, and has been a leader in organizations from the ABA to the College of Commercial Arbitrators and the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators. He's taught classes at UCLA, Pepperdine, and USC Law School, and continues to share his knowledge with anyone who asks. It's hard to imagine the development of arbitration nationally and even internationally without the contributions that Richard has made and continues to make. But there's more. Mr. Chernick also happens to be one of the most philanthropic people I've met. In fact, despite some significant charitable contributions that JAM makes to various organizations, it isn't unusual to see a phrase like support provided by JAMS and Richard Chernick. Many organizations have benefited from Richard's time and treasure over the years, and I think that speaks volumes about the kind of person that he really is. This is my 15th year at JAMS, and I know that I have benefited personally from my relationship with Richard. He's truly a role model in the ADR industry and is more than deserving of this award from the CLA. Congratulations, Richard.